Hey everyone, welcome back. Icon here. Thanks so much for checking out another episode of Esports Analysis. Today, this is one of the best hardpoint matches I've ever seen. The excitement, the intensity, all of that in this match was just absolutely out of this world. So we are tuning into map 4. I'm just going to go through like the last 3 or 4 hardpoints because I really want to be able to explain to you guys why things happened in the way that they did, so you can really understand why Minnesota ended up coming up on top here when probably most people would have thought that that wouldn't have been the case. So right now, to set the record, Atlanta's up 2-1. We are in the Rammaza hardpoint. So as we go ahead and we hit play here, I want you to realize that right now we are back at P2. Okay, so this is about to go from P2 to P3, and this is really where first of all, this is a phenomenal hold from Minnesota. So let me just draw on the minimap in the bottom left-hand corner real quick. You can see that. So we're talking back here. This is where P2 is, and this is the beneficial spawn for P2. So as it rotated from P1, you can see all of these white arrows for Atlanta pushing this back spawn. And the vast majority of the time, if you're the team that's leaving from P1 and you have construction, so you have control of construction and you're pushing that backside, you usually end up getting control of that hard point while the other team, so in this scenario, you can see that a lot of the purple arrows are coming over here from ammo. And this isn't the side that you want to come from. Let me go ahead and get rid of all of this. And if you spawn ammo, so if you're right here, you don't want this spawn because it leaves you with just this one choke point to run through, right? That's the only real way to get inside of the hill. Now, a couple people, some teams will send somebody middle to try to go sandbags to hit a pinch here to stop the flow from construction this way, but that's just not very likely. So with that in mind, this is just one of the things that's so impressive because as we go ahead and we press play, right now, if I'm watching that left-hand side spawn, you can see that Alex just killed Priesta, and Abizi went down, and Cellium, and Simp is back there, and Simp ends up going down right there from Silly. So all 4 of those players that were pushing from that back area end up going down, and that's something that you don't see very often. Most of the time, if you get that back spawn, you end up holding it, you end up maxing out the time in P2, then you're, of course, spawning out as it rotates back to P3, but P2 is a hill where you can really max out time there. So all of those seconds are going to go towards Minnesota, and this was essentially a tie ball game when it started. And now that it's about to rotate to P3, you can see that there's one team that has about a 50-point lead. Now, as we're about to go ahead and rotate back to this side, you guys are going to notice that it's the exact opposite, right? So if we're looking at the minimap in the bottom left-hand corner, and this is something that Atlanta does really well. I'm going to pause it for just a second. So you can see that Atlanta has control of the hard point. There's nobody back behind them, so they'll have this spawn. Again, I'm drawing on the minimap in the bottom left-hand corner, but the thing that Atlanta does extremely well is they're not taking their gun battles right here, right? These aren't the lanes where they're shooting from. They're pushed up all the way out to mid-map. Because if they can control mid-map, then now when Minnesota spawns, they're going to be spawning way back here. So they're spawning on the complete opposite side of the map. So that's something that Atlanta does really well that a lot of teams try to do that they just can't do all that well. So as you're watching this, that's kind of what I'm looking at is the fact that all of those gun battles are happening mid-map. As soon as Silly right there tries to run through mid-map, he gets gunned. And then Alex gets a nasty 360 right there to get that kill on Priesta. But even so, it's really hard to get in. He ends up getting killed in the doorway. And just now the purple arrows are starting to get close, but it's almost too late. And this is what I want to show you. Let me go back 5 seconds because this is just one of those spawns that ends up driving me crazy. You're going to see here when Simp goes down. So Simp just died to a seam, right? You can see it if we're looking at right here in the kill feed. Simp just died to a seam. And if you're looking, look at all of these white arrows, right? They have this spawn. I know I just drew all over top of them, but they have that back spawn. And here in a few seconds, you're going to see that, and Benson, I mean, it's hard for him to tell, but look at where all the white arrows are still. They still have control of this entire side of the map, and this is a really sticky spawn. So if you're Minnesota, you would just think that they would continue to have that spawn. But if you look at this arrow right here, Simp ends up spawning out. and there's no reason for him to spawn out yet. The hill isn't overran. They didn't push the back spawn or anything. So we're talking a game where this is the semifinals. Whoever wins this gets a chance to go to the grand finals of CDL LA, and you get a spawn like this. It's just another one of those things that kind of gets on my nerves. But it's not going to end up hurting them, but you can see that he spawned out, and then Major Maniac spawned behind him, and then Priesta spawned behind him. And then now, if you're Atlanta or if you're an Atlanta fan, Cellium got a nasty win inside the hill, which ended up keeping it for them, so they were able to get that last 20 seconds. But if you're Minnesota, that's a fantastic job of rotations. So again, now if we're looking at the minimap, you can see that essentially it looks like they have control of construction. They don't see Priesta hiding back here, but it's not going to end up hurting them. I think he is eventually going to go down, and they're going to maintain that back spawn. But that could have been a disaster, right? When Simp spawned out, if his teammates get that and then they're able to hold that rotation, they essentially earned, or they got that rotation without earning it. So right now, again, it's about a tie ball game, and it's rotating to construction. So as it rotates to this back side, you can see Simp died in the back, so they essentially stopped that push from behind. Priesta also went down, so that everybody that was on that back push died. So now if you're Atlanta, you have to sprint through mid-map, because as of right now, there's enough time left where if you don't get in and contest, you're going to end up losing. So for Atlanta, this is simple. You just run through the middle of the map, and you have to try to get in and contest as much as you can. So as of right now, just right now, they've done enough to extend it to P5. So as this is about to rotate to the other side of the map, you can see that the rotations are going down. So again, if we're just looking at this, we have 3 red arrows, or 3 white arrows. So you have 3 Faze members back here, and you have 3 Minnesota members pushing through mid-map right here. So you can see that the race for spawns for P5 are on. Now, this is where the insanity takes place. So first of all, Minnesota's going to end up outslaying them, and they're going to get those back spawns. So right there, GodRx took out Major Maniac, which was on the left side of P3, backed by Tree Door. And then as this next rotation is about to come through, you can see that there's one more person set up. Right there, GodRx kills Abizi. This is just so... This kind of annoys me a little bit, but GodRx, man, he is so good. He had like a 1.33 KD all weekend, and he's always overlooked. And those are the plays that he makes. That's a hard thing to do, right? Your chance of going on to the grand finals of this home event are about to perish, and he makes a 2-piece on rotation to get them spawns. I mean, it's just things that you don't, that don't show up in the stat book, that aren't really talked about all that often. But if you're watching rotations like this, it's things that you notice. Now, this is insanity. This was one of the craziest moments from the weekend. Cellium's the only one here, right? If he doesn't pop off here, they're going to lose on this hill. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. So, Cellium is going to push out. He gets 1. All right? We're starting here. He gets 1. And then, so he's just watching this. He gets 2. He's literally saving the game. He gets 3. He kills Alex. Those are 3 kills where if he doesn't get those 3 kills, there's at least another 7 or 8 seconds on the scoreboard right here. And look at the white arrows in the minimap. Nobody else from Atlanta is close to this hard point. He gets 4. Look at, I mean, this is literally just one player single-handedly going off. And this is why Atlanta's so good, because Cellium can do it. And Simp can do it, and Abizi can do it, and Priesta has his moments. All these guys are capable of this sort of play, which is what makes them so good. So right now he's gotten 4. Now he's just trying to contest a little bit. He kills GodRx. There's 5. He goes through the smoke. He gets 6. He gets another kill there on Silly before he finally goes down. But now that we're here, you can see now that the rest of Atlanta has pushed up, right? If we're drawing on the minimap in the left-hand corner, you can see all of these white arrows are now in and around the hill. Whereas before Cellium did that, all of those white arrows were in this area. So if he doesn't go off like that, they don't have the opportunity to come back. So as we hop on board here, Minnesota can still win from this hill, right? But as they come up off of spawn, this is exactly what I want to show you. And this is why Minnesota is doing the things that they're doing. This is the stuff that nobody talks about. Right now, If Atlanta gets these last 11 seconds, they're going to win, right? They have 2:39. There's 16 seconds left of the current hard point. They get this, they win. Look at what's happening on the opposite side of the map. So Alex went down. He comes up off of spawn at tree door. This is why Minnesota wins this map, because they're the team that's able to keep their composure and rotate, and he's essentially relying. He's saying, guys, I'm rotating. You have to contest and win this 4v5. You have to hold it just long enough for rotations to come in. So as you're watching this, watch the rotations on the opposite side of the map. Let's go ahead and press play. But you can see that right now Atlanta has it. Now it's contested. There's 2 seconds, 3 seconds, 4, 5 seconds of contesting, 6, 7 seconds of contesting. And if we're looking at the scoreboard at the top middle, that's all they need to do. Silly, Assault, Asim, they all did just enough to force this into a rotation back to P1 and bridge in the middle of the map. And right now, Atlanta notices that they have 3 seconds left in this current hill. It's not going to be enough, so they're just going to leave it, right? They're going to leave these last 2 seconds because they need all their resources over at P1. They have to rotate. And again, you're going to see who does it. Over here on the right-hand side, right, there's only really one route. There's only 14 seconds. There's really only one route where Atlanta can push through. And if we're looking at this route, as they're leaving P5, this is the major route right here, over through Rugs. So as that's happening, look who is there. It's hard to see, but it's number 5, GodRx. This guy, he always shows up in these moments. He is so underrated. But GodRx is over there. He kills a Beezy. Look, there's 2 skulls right there. He gets 2. GodRx is still over there. He's not going to go down. Cellium's not going to be able to kill him. He comes through. GodRx kills Cellium, the man that was just on a 7 spree in P5 that extended the game. If GodRx doesn't get a 3-piece there, this is probably going to be a different outcome. But in this moment, it's just the stuff that he does. He's able to get shots into Major Maniac, which goes down. Alex is able to secure that final kill on Simp, and that's the game. If you haven't seen this live, just go back to this VOD and just play the last 3 minutes of this match because it is so intense. Chance and Benson did such a good job of this one. But I just wanted to break it down for you because a lot of people, you hear Benson going off and you hear the intensity and the excitement and you see all of that happening, but you're not quite sure what's happening behind the scenes. And why is Minnesota so good, right? Everybody talks about Chicago and they talk about Atlanta and they talk about Dallas, and Minnesota's just starting to enter that conversation, but they don't have the flashy players that those other teams have. This is why. So when you see them rotating and relying on their teammates and keeping their composure and winning those rotations, right, from P1 to P2 there at the end, this is what Minnesota does so well, and that's why they're in the situation that they're in. So if you're new around here and you like breakdowns like this, please hit that subscribe button. If you have any questions about anything you've seen or any matches you want to see, put them down below. I love the comments. I interact with everybody and get back to you guys. So if you have any comments, make sure you put them down below. Leave a like if you're still here before you head on your way. I would super appreciate that. And with that, guys, thank you so much for checking out another episode. We'll catch you in tomorrow's video.